This video is Season 2 of my planned fan-made Star Wars show called the Imperial Survey Corps, which is basically a Star Wars version of Star Trek. Got it? Great, let's get into the episodes. In Episode 1, the Ajax finds a disabled insurgent ship floating in space. The 157th Clone Troopers board the insurgent ship in the Gradilis sector and reclaim supplies. The fuel of the Ajax was leaking from the battle and the ship lands on the planet Niraunu. After repairing and mapping the planet, the Ajax learns that the planet is already familiar with the Empire and that they had veered off course into the unknown regions, where they are warned to go back into wild space as there are many threats to them in the unknown regions. And after a skirmish with the Vagari task force, the Ajax continues through wild space. In Episode 2, the Ajax goes to an alien-controlled nebula with a moon inside that is rich in raw materials and resources that the Empire wants. The Ajax sends a shuttle to survey the moon, and when the ship crash lands on the moon from an electrical storm and comes under attack by aliens, the aliens are forced to retreat after the clones and Imperial Storm Commandos make a stand as the engineers make repairs on the shuttle that they can. The Ajax attempts to enter the nebula, but it's hit by the storm and temporarily loses power. The shuttle is eventually able to take off and is guided by comms from the Ajax as the scanners are down, and the shuttle eventually lands aboard with whatever resources and raw materials that they could get. In Episode 3, on a volcanic planet, carbon and silicon-based life are the only type of life forms that can survive, but they have an unusual connection to the Force that allows them to manipulate life and matter. An opening in the volcanic smokescreen opens and the Ajax receives a message to send down a negotiating party. They comply and discover that the carbon and silicon-based life are attempting to make a peace agreement, but this requires an experiment to determine if they will follow the light or dark side of the Force. The party is divided and blockaded from communication with the Ajax, where they are made to fight one another to represent light and dark, following each other's own political views on the Empire and Republic. Eventually, the Ajax blindly fires a barrage into the smokescreen that destroys some of the carbon and silicon viewers. The experiment is then halted where the volcanic life initially sees no difference between light and dark. The Imperials then return to their shuttle as the volcanic life eventually decides to follow the light after a heated argument with Imperials and the Grey Jedi. In Episode 4, while going to survey a system of 3 planets, the Ajax encounters a doomsday machine that eats planets built by the Zepho against the Rakatan to combat their super weapons and consume the Rakatan Empire thousands of years ago. The crew only sees 2 planets remaining and decides to stop the machine before it gets to the other planets in the system. The Ajax finds the shell nearly impenetrable as it is deeply reinforced with advanced shielding technology built into the shell. The Ajax then goes inside the mouth of the machine and fires nearly every torpedo and explosive device inside, which blows up the weaker inside of the shell that is not shielded by blasting the kyber crystal that powers the machine. In Episode 5, the Ajax then encounters a seemingly abandoned separatist facility on the planet Grob. Inside, the landing party finds a lab with sedated advanced cyborgs plugged into a system. Everything seems somewhat normal, with everything being shut down. However, all of the cyborgs show vital signs, but shut down in neural activity. As the landing party goes further into the facility, a separatist tactical droid that is still functioning activates the alarm and activates all of the cyborgs, claiming that the landing party will be assimilated into the separatist enclave. About half of the Imperials are killed before they are able to get to the shuttle and escape, and the Ajax then decides to orbitally bombard the facility. In Episode 6, the Ajax comes across a herd of Purgles, which takes the ship to the other galaxy and the planet Peridia, where the Purgles are blasted off of the ship and the Ajax is released over the planet. Upon landing on Peridia, a survey team comes under immediate attack from raiders. The team takes over an abandoned Zepho castle where the Ajax lands to make repairs, where they defend from waves and waves of Peridian raiders. The Ajax then returns to the known galaxy by redirecting a herd of Purgles and records their journey, which is later sent to Imperial intelligence, and then comes to the eyes of Thrawn. In Episode 7, in the Unknown Regions, the Ajax encounters Trioculus on the planet Driu. Trioculus is a figurehead for the Central Committee of Moffs and claims to be the son of Emperor Palpatine, and he wants to assume command of the Ajax for his own conquests in the Unknown Regions to become a contingency rival for if Palpatine is killed, and that's called foreshadowing. The Ajax crew finds him very delusional, but Trioculus fires electricity from his fingertips using electromagnets implanted in his fingertips by the Central Committee of Moffs, which kills a dissenting officer. Grand Moff Hissa also confirms the claims of Trioculus to the Ajax through an encrypted message, and Trioculus is brought aboard. The brutality and irrational mental state of Trioculus is clear to the Ajax crew as the Ajax faces a Killik fleet, where Trioculus proves to also be a terrible commander, and the captain of the Ajax knocks out Trioculus in one punch and defeats the Killik fleet on his own. Trioculus is then removed from the Ajax and is then marooned on the planet Kawak by the Ajax crew. In Episode 8, in the Unknown Regions, the Ajax comes across a pirate cruiser while in pursuit, both going to a probability storm in space. This causes the Ajax and pirate cruiser to be multiplied an infinite number of times, showing off different outcomes and splitting off from the originals. Both open fire on one another, and all of the ships around them and their probabilities start destroying each other. The pirate cruiser's captain is very confused and launches full speed ahead where his ship is destroyed. The Ajax remains in the storm as the destruction occurs all around it, and the Ajax eventually comes out of the storm and marks up the map, with the storm being labeled as a location not to go in the Unknown Regions and a place to definitely be avoided. In Episode 9, the Ajax lands on the planet Numalfa, where the landing ignites a nuclear waste on the planet from the Old Republic era, which blows it out of orbit. The phenomenon shoots the planet off of its axis as it begins to freeze over and it travels aimlessly. The landing party is able to reactivate the outpost scanners and systems to track their trajectory. The planet is going towards the star, and the gravity begins to wither away on the planet as it stops rotating. The landing party, however, is able to get to their shuttle and escape before the planet begins to collide with the star and begins to start to melt down. In Episode 10, in the Unknown Regions, two alien planets are at war with one another using computers and a simulation. The Ajax is a simulated casualty while passing through. However, the landing party disagrees and decides to destroy the computers of one planet, which causes the other planet to prepare real weapons to launch. The Ajax then fires a seeker missile at each planet to heighten tensions to get their diplomats of each planet to fully realize the severity of their situation and that they are about to start a full-scale war with one another. Later, after negotiating a peace agreement, the two planets will be planning to join the Empire of the Hand. In Episode 11, the ISD Ajax is attacked by a Killik fleet, which is defeated by Chiss reinforcements from Scylla. The Ajax then returns to known space, having completed its mapping mission from a safe hyperspace lane in wild space and the Unknown Regions. Palpatine has the information sent to his personal forces and orders the Ajax to accompany Thrawn to set up a new Empire of the Hand in the region, and the Ajax is then diverted to meet Thrawn in the Outer Rim. In Episode 12, in the Outer Rim, the Ajax encounters Nal Nal on a planet while refueling at a remote outpost. The Nal Nal attaches itself to a stormtrooper's armor and comes aboard the Ajax. It takes control over the stormtrooper and also infects a bridge officer, where the two start sabotaging the ship as they go mad. The officer seals off the bridge and knocks out everyone present there, where he plans to destroy the ship. The Grey Jedi then cuts open the door, and the officer and the stormtrooper are killed while they try to react with deadly force. Once control of the ship is regained, Thrawn arrives on the planet. In Episode 13, in wild space, the Sea-Ruvi launch an incursion onto the planet Mikre, which had become a peaceful and productive Imperial outpost planet. The Sea-Ruvi then retreat after the Ajax arrives, and a landing party mortars the Sea-Ruvi ground troops. The Ajax pursues, and both ships run out of fuel over the planet Norg, where each ship is out of range from one another and fires long-range shots aimlessly. Meanwhile, an Imperial and Sea-Ruvi landing party go to the surface for fuel, as scanners indicate that some was there. On the surface, most of each crew is killed off in battle, and the landing party leader secures fuel and holds the Sea-Ruvi captain hostage, and the Sea-Ruvi agree not to enter the known galaxy ever again. After the message is sent to the Sea-Ruvi fleets and their homeworld, the Ajax decides to blast their ship as a reprisal for their raid on Mikre. The Ajax then comes across the Dryton Nebula, where the crew has conflicting reports about the region. Official reports claim that the nebula had destroyed all ships during the Clone Wars, but some say that the Yuzang Vong had kidnapped them all due to a lack of debris, and others claim that they had been melted down by an unknown force. The Ajax enters and finds a planet full of stegium crystals, which are needed for cloaking experiments. However, they find that the planet is occupied by an escaped Separatist militia, and after a skirmish, they take them prisoner. However, another mysterious life form was also beamed aboard the ship. This life form seals off parts of the Ajax to leave a number of the Imperials and Separatists the same for a constant battle as the ship is somehow sent barreling for the galactic barrier. Eventually, the conflict ends with the Separatist surrender and the life form leaves the ship, and the Ajax heads for the core worlds for a much-needed layover. In Episode 15, in going through the Republic's military historical records, an Imperial military historian informs Palpatine that there are 200 Republic dreadnoughts that were lost in 45 BBY, which had been commissioned in 46 BBY due to Republic intelligence pointing to the coming covert Republic-Leto war. The Republic's crew had been driven mad by a bioweapon launched by a Separatist terrorist working with the Leto system, and the fleet went into deep space. Palpatine had commissioned the Ajax to search for the fleet as they were on their way back to the core from the Dryton Nebula. And after weeks of searching deep space, eventually the Ajax discovers the fleet and boards the ships, but the disease is still present aboard, which drives some of the landing party members insane. And the Ajax doctors eventually vaccinate the crew members and decide to not bring back the Katana fleet, deeming the potential fleet of an unknown virus as well, hitting the galaxy to be too dangerous. They erase the location and report to Palpatine that the fleet may not even exist or was possibly destroyed. In episode 16, the season finale, the Ajax arrives at Kuat Drive Yards and meets Dr. Silo, who installs a computer on the ship at the request of Palpatine to test the AI's capabilities in a war game against other Star Destroyers. And most of the Ajax crew is put on leave on Kuat to test the limited personnel on the ship with the computer. The computer, however, uses lethal force against other ships, which destroys 2 corvettes and heavily disables another Star Destroyer. The remaining crew on the ship disconnects the computer and destroys it, as the test was a failure and Dr. Silo is reassigned elsewhere. After picking up the rest of the crew, the Ajax is then given one final assignment to the Unknown Regions to establish an outpost for an Imperial intelligence deep within the Unknown Regions to study and observe the many threats to the galaxy that are growing in the uncharted territories. So that is Season 2 of the Imperial Survey Corps, my fan-made series that is basically a Star Wars version of Star Trek. What did you think? Did you like it? Not like it? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.